very good morning to our lecturer and my friend. Today I would like to present the topic that I have given to my group is the communication. Before I start to present, I will introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Amiruddin bin Muhammad Yusuf. The introduction. What is communication? Communication is the process to communicate with other individuals that have at least one sender of the information and other one that call the receiver of the information. They communicate each other and changing the information. The transmission of message from sender to the receiver can be affected by a huge range of things. For the example, our emotion, the culture, situation, the medium used to communicate, and even our location. The complexity is why good communication skills are considered so desirable by employees around the world. Accurate, effective, and unambiguous communication is actually extremely hard. There is the 3 points of the purpose of manager communication. Is the enhanced problem solving possibilities. The better communication is the ability to solve issues before they separating into the major trouble. Incorporating yourself in the conversation as your team brainstorms solution help establish a rich method of problem solving. The second one is the allow for proper motivation. Communication effectively and transparently with your team allow you to understand their needs and desires. In order to lead effectively, you have to know what motivation those under you. The third one is to inspire partnership. The change of the environment where the member of the team able to speak their idea and know that their ideas will be taken into the consideration will create a robust and more possibility work environment. Okay. Basic component in the communication process. Communication is the process of exchanging verbal and non-verbal message. It is a continuous process. The prerequisite of the communication is the message. This message must be conveyed through some medium to the receiver. Okay. There is several basic components for the process of the communication. The first one is the sender or encoder. Sender is the person who sends the message. A sender makes use of the symbol such as a word or graphic or visual aid to convey the message and produce the required response. The second one is the message. The message is the key idea that the sender wants to communicate. It is a sign that it elicits the response of receiver. Communication process begins with deciding about the message to be conveyed. It must be ensured that the main objective of the message is clear. The third one is the medium. It means the medium is to use to exchange the message. The sender must choose an appropriate medium for transmitting the message, as the message might not be conveyed to the desired receiver. The choice of the appropriate medium of communication is essential to make the message effectively and correctly. The fourth one is the receiver or decoder. It is the person for whom the message is targeted. The degree to which the decoder understands the message is depend upon various factors such as knowledge of the receiver, their responsiveness to the message, and the reliance of the encoder on decoder.
I want to continue my friend's explanation. Before that, I want to introduce myself. My name is Sabri bin Matsahi. Okay, the category of communication. There are three of category. Firstly, verbal. Secondly, non-verbal. And thirdly, technological communication. Okay, stop. Firstly, verbal. Verbal communication seems like the most obvious of the different types of communication. It utilizes the spoken word either face-to-face or remotely. Verbal communication is essential to most interaction, but there are other non-verbal cues that help provide additional context to the words themselves. Secondly, non-verbal. Non-verbal communication is made up primarily of facial expressions and body language. Understanding these nonverbal cues help to fully understand what the speaker is saying. Mastering nonverbal communication will enable you to be a better communicator as you get a better understanding of the nonverbal cues you and the other people you communicate with are sending. Thirdly, technological communication. Technological communication is used to families, amongst friends, in schools, and in government. The advancement of technology has helped to advance the ways in which we communicate with each other. One way technology have advanced communication is through the birth of electronic communication devices such as cell phone, social networking, websites, email, and faxes. There are two types of communication, formal and informal. For the formal, there is downward, upward, and horizontal. Downward. Downward communication happens when the highest level of management in the organization contribute information, instruction, or message to the lower level of management. In downward communication, highest level management will come out with solution and hand it over or give order to the lower level of management to implement the solution done by the highest management. Horizontal communication is the communication that transfer information between people and department or unit within the same level in the organization hierarchy. Example of horizontal communication occur when a different department having a meeting with other department to achieve solution within themselves which the same level in the hierarchy but different unit.
Hello, my name is Lars Ananeput. For my part, for the type of communication, the other type of communication is the informal communication. First of all is grapevine. According to the Newstorm and K. Davis, grapevine is an informal system that arises spontaneously from the social interaction of the organization. This explains that grapevines is an official communications channels which take place within organization as a result of rumor. Inside grapevine, there is a variety type of informal communication, which is the first one is single stance. The single stance is the flow of information which being passed through a line of a receivers passed to the last receivers. And the other one is gossips. In gossip patterns, it shows that a single person is trying to expose information to everyone. Okay, the third one is probabilities. Independent of probabilities, it shows that a random process which a single person contribute information according with the law of probabilities. The last one is cluster. Cluster defines a single person that give information to the persons that they want to tell, which going to contribute the information to another selected persons. Okay. For the communication barriers, the first one is the use of jargon. Jargon is a term that used as a term that which only can be used in a certain field that can only be understood by several people. The next point is the lack of intention, which several uh, employees only focusing on other things that make them hard to understand, which being trying to uh, trying to expose them with the information, such as the manager trying to brief and data or information to them. The third one is the different perception. Every people in this world have a different perception, which give advantage to achieve a goal or purpose, because they have a different kind of ideas. The last one is the cultural difference. In this world, every organization have a different uh, employees that come with a different cultures that makes some employee cannot understand of one of the employees culture, which make them misunderstood of the message that's trying to be uh, give or contribute to them. And how are we going to overcome the barriers? The first one is use a simple words. In communications, some people have a difficulty in understanding jargon terms. Just like I explained before, in communication we should use a simple word to give another receivers type of understanding in very good conditions. The next one is send message efficiently. Before doing communication to the audience, always plan strategy on how to elaborate the message that going to transmit to the receivers. Always be specific on what you're going to present to the receiver. The third one is obtain feedback. Feedback was part of communication change that we look at on the first page. This feedback will help the sender to produce a good quality message through the communication. And the last one is the awareness on the culture difference. We have to learn every employee's culture, that so we can understand on how we're going to present the message to them.
As the conclusion, communication is the process that occurs between two persons or a group or more where the information being transmitted to the others to reach the goal or solution. The effective of communication is important for the people to understand what is being delivered, which to help them to be the communication professional. I think that's all from my teammates. Have fun and goodbye.